Hey guys, how you going? Okay, the year woke went broke. Get woke, go broke. Corporate layoffs hit diversity, equity and inclusion DEI the hardest. As companies aggressively lay off workers and cut costs, a survey released last month revealed that the company events and bonuses are cut first, followed by diversity, equity and inclusion programs, DEI. DEI job listings fell by a fifth last year and the woke collapse is accelerating. That's been the conclusion of other surveys and firms describing the corporate environment where DEI wokeness programs are the first to go. And by the way, about a month ago, Google and all them started cutting their woke. I think there's videos of them on Twitter somewhere. But anyway, only 5% of recruiters say that DEI is a priority. Corporate racism is collateral damage at HR cuts. 55% of HR departments surveyed were already cut or expected to have their budgets slashed. And DEI is the mask that HR wears. Layoffs in the tech industry disproportionately affect white women, not because of sexism, but because companies under pressure were shedding the most expendable roles, primarily HR. Some companies like Twilio announced that they would be firing workers based on race, or as CEO Jeff Lawson puts it, layoffs were carried out through an anti-racist, anti-oppression lens. Mostly, though, companies were jet-setting dead weight regardless of race or level of wokeness. Facebook dumped its special training program for HR managers who focus on diversity and fired everyone in it. To add insult to injury, Facebook offered them much less severance pay than other workers. Amazon dumped a good deal of its DEI personnel as part of an HR purge. Layoffs tend to hit human resources where the invasive species of diversity consultants had built its nests. Corporate human resource departments had transformed private sector racism into a booming business, but it's a business that rises and falls with social and economic trends. Diversity spending had been declining during the pandemic. Mainline companies struggling with a challenging economic environment had less resources to throw at diversity seminars. And the interest rates are going up and everything's collapsing under Joe Biden, so they're being shown as well. The race riot that's burned cities and cost countless lives also helped make the agitators who had poured ideological gasoline on the fires of race very wealthy. Ibram X, Kendi Ta-Nehisi Coates, Robin DiAngelo and other professional racists ushered in an intellectual rebrand of diversity, which had become as stodgy as HR, into the exciting new era of anti-racism. While Black Lives Matter leaders and influencers like Kendi charge massive speaking fees, a legion of identity politics study grads and new diversity consultants quietly began cashing in. The nation's workhouse businesses had limited resources, but the massive corporations, their corruptions, that was quite a good mistake actually. But the massive corporations, especially in the tech industry, were glutted with pandemic cash and eager to virtue signal, which we all see, and we still do. Oh God. Big tech monopolies stuffed with the ill-gotten gains of the lockdown invested heavily in DEI, so did most of the tech industry. Inflation has led to a rash of cost-cutting among those same tech companies, as investors are no longer as casual about throwing more good money after bad. DEI is seeing the third highest fall in jobs offers after tech careers because its rise was heavily dependent on tech industry boom. Now the parasite is suffering along with the host. DEI brought academic racism of the critical race theory variety into corporate boardrooms, but another way to look at it is as a way for HR professionals, many of them white women, to elevate their roles or spin off booming businesses. Manufacturing a racism crisis destroyed a lot of lives, but, as is often the case, made a small group of people successful and wealthy. HR professionals are frantically struggling to survive the waves of layoffs by using DEI and black people as human shields. HR associations and organisations put out fake numbers insisting that most employees won't take jobs or will even leave companies that don't prioritise DEI, well, we're going to have trouble finding another job, I think. If HR people claimed that employees wouldn't work at companies without bigger HR departments, the C-suite would laugh in their faces, but a fake racism crisis covers a multitude of sins. Embedding critical race theory into corporations was lubricated by lies and misleading statistics. Corporate leaders and investors were told that workers were desperate for DEI and those who weren't were fired, that diverse workforces adapt better to change, and that diverse companies outperform less diverse ones. Well, you know what? Look, I'd rather have a pilot that knows what they're doing. So, based on their qualifications, not how they look or what boxes they can tick. Because God knows what's going to happen when you just put pilots in there who may not be very good at that. And this is what they've been finding out. Okay, they've been finding out that these people can't quite do the job because they don't quite have the qualifications. I mean, everyone passes in this age where everyone passes, and I'm telling you this because they told me this, at TAFE, which is like a college, which is like a technical college, that's what it is. When I went there, people they try really hard not to let anyone fail. Okay, so imagine the bottom of the barrel, and that's who you get to fly that plane. Just because they might be, I don't know, a disabled Indian woman or something. I don't know. Look, who knows? Okay. Anyway, wow. Oh, where was I up to? Lubricated by lies and misleading statistics. Yeah, I read that one. And that customers will only buy from companies that reflected their values. When all else failed, cancel culture was deployed against CEOs from within. The trouble with HR trying to hold the C-suite hostage with BLM is that pressure by investors to produce cuts is now scaring CEOs more than cancel culture. And by a growing backlash by conservative leaders, especially by Governor Ron DeSantis, humbling Disney has made them wary. That's why there's been a marked decline in CEO statements on the woke outrage of the day. While corporate investments in diversity have dropped, they're still far above what they were before the Black Lives Matter movement, with Fortune 500 backing and millions in funding, torched American cities, murdered police officers and robbed small business owners. The diversity business has its ups and downs. Marxism is a luxury product and there's less of a budget for virtue signalling now at the FANG gang, the tech industry and a lot of big corps. Corporations embrace causes to refresh their brands, but DEI has become stale. There's only so many times you can invite Ibram X. Kendi to intone about anti-racism at a mandatory C-suite Zoom seminar before everyone realises that the leadership has no new ideas and no plan. In tough times, the multinationals that went big on wokeness are assuring investors that they're cutting back. New wave of incoming CEOs are middle-aged white geeks with pensions for numbers and responsible leadership. Not YouTube, though. The ad campaigns are still woke, and ESG investing is an economic disease that is destroying pension value and undermining our economy, but corporate racism is becoming as outdated an artefact of 2020 as workplace mask mandates. The Biden admin is aggressively pushing equity, but the companies shipwrecked by his economy have less time to mediate on their unconscious biases and promise to do better. Wokeness, like the Biden administration, has gone broke, and America has gone broke with it, and so has the rest of the world. DEI will be rebranded, reborn in the blood of more race riots and viral cancellations, but for now it's withering as companies tighten belts and look for new shiny objects to distract investors, like AI. What happens if you combine DEI and AI? DEI AI offers an all-powered diversity, equity and inclusion assistant that can ask to help you better understand the landscape of DE&I. No more unpaid emotional labour of explaining why all white people are racist. Now there's an app to tell you exactly how racist you are. Oh dear. A DEI app costs a whole lot less than a DEI department, and DEI dogma is easily automated. And look, honestly, I don't want to talk to AI. I don't want to have a bar of AI, okay? Artificial intelligence. I could turn all my computers off, honestly, and just walk away, mate. And just go and live. This thing is insane, anyway. There's even a browser add-on that will scan your emails and detect problematic language like grandfathered. What could better embody diversity than replacing black people with software? DEI, once exciting, is now just another formula, a set of tired rules that overlap all the others, embedded in corporate and government workplaces that everyone is learning to ignore. And like many other formula, the work of yelling at white people can be outsourced to software. Why not? Okay. These are comments. Is that the end of it? They're comments? Yep. Okay. That's the end of that one. Oh, hang on. I've got another one yet. Where am I? Oh, I've fallen into the Cole Bully rabbit hole. Fake. I don't know. Sorry, guys. But anyway, it reminds me of the Maddie McCann and John Bonet. I don't know. Are these people even real? Like, does this really happen? Where was I up to? Okay, and the Washington Examiner. Oh, my goodness. A new report reveals recent layoffs in big tech have left many in the diversity, equity and inclusion fields looking for new jobs. DEI positions have reportedly been amongst the hardest hit, begging the question, how useful were they to begin with? I can tell you right now. Useless, okay? Absolutely useless. These were the ones walking around going, a day in the life of Facebook employee, a day in the life of Twitter employee. Get woke, go broke. Companies are laying off useless DEI workers. There you go. Why companies go broke? With the stagnant Biden economy and rising interest rates hitting corporations' finances, companies have re-evaluated their commitment to left-wing indoctrination. Since July 2022, company layoffs of those with DEI jobs have been much higher compared to those in non-DEI roles, according to data from Revelio Labs. Revelio? I don't know. The attrition rate for DEI jobs is 33% compared to 21% for non-DEI jobs. As purse strings tighten, companies are starting to realise they don't need to waste profits on jobs that exist solely because left-wing political pandering. All the virtue signalling in the world cannot forestall the economic realities of a slowing economy, said Andrew Krapjuchets, CEO of Red Balloon. Okay. Nice name. In a time when bloated big tech companies must make budget decisions, it's no surprise that divisive and polarising DEI programs are under scrutiny. According to a press release from Red Balloon, companies in the country spent over $9 billion on DEI initiatives last year. Much of this resulted from the societal overreaction following the murder of George Floyd in the summer of 2020. Left-wing executives throughout the nation used this chaos to implement radical, agenda-driven corporate programs to reshape the culture and indoctrinate employees. Even more absurd, this total was expected to increase to $15.4 billion according to the consultancy firm Strategy R. Amazon, Twitter and Nike have shed between 5 and 16 DEI professionals each, and Twitter's infamous diversity team layoffs are not far behind. According to Revelio Labs, bearing in mind the typically small size of DEI teams. The median DEI team size in this set of companies is 3. These outflows likely amount to the exodus of entire diversity teams. None of this should be shocking, as no DEI position is ever needed for a company to function. No, they're not. DEI is a field predicted on left-wing propaganda and does not produce anything of value. No special skills or talents are required to work in DEI. Hopefully this is a sign that corporate America has come to its senses and will stop caving to the left's cultural hijacking. DEI is toxic and useless and should stay in the ash heap of history where it belongs, along with so many other left-wing disasters. And I'll agree with that. Don't do this to me again. There you go. And Bernie Thompson Show said corporate layoffs begin with woke staff trainers first. Target, Amazon, Wells Fargo. Find them insufferable and they're unproductive. Let's look at what the Daily Mail has to say. Goodbye anti-bias training. Target, Wells Fargo and Amazon are among companies ditching woke diversity teams as they cut costs. Sorry, something over here distracted this BS. So-called diversity staff hit hardest in the wave of US corporate layoffs. Their workshops on microaggressions and anti-bias training ruffled feathers. The layoffs sweeping corporate America are now claiming one of their main casualties, the bloated and counterproductive sector of diversity, equity and inclusion professionals, new research shows. As the tech industry laid off tens of thousands of workers last summer, DEI teams shed about a third of their staff, according to data compiled by Revelio Labs. Okay, we're getting the same... oh no, they're talking about the data. Other departments were only losing a fifth at the same time. Axing diversity professionals extends beyond the tech sector. Retail giant Target led the way, losing 20 DEI staffers in 2022. Capital One, Amazon, Applebee's and Wells Fargo rounded out the top 5. The cuts raise tough questions for diversity officers. Oh, please. What a useless job. Who've struggled to stay relevant in business, making lackluster gains despite generous budgets, and as memories of George Floyd's murder and the anti-racism protests it sparked recede. Oh, I'm doing all I can to keep my mouth shut right now. While DEI workers say they bring back more black, brown and female and queer talent into firms and raise morale across the board, critics have labelled the roles a virtue signalling exercise that fosters backlash discrimination against straight, white men. As well as offering jobs to unrepresented groups, DEI team also end up butting heads with established employees with their compulsory training in tackling radical bias, microaggressions, and even white privilege. Can someone please find my white privilege? It seems to be missing. DailyMail.com spoke with laid-off DEI workers, including a California woman who said her views on social issues made her outspoken in meetings, and another in Georgia who noted that blockbuster DEI schemes often failed to achieve their goals. Will Hild, Director of Consumers Research, a conservative policy group, said he was not surprised to see corporations finally tire of paying the salaries of woke activists who harass colleagues in the name of social governance. These departments are product of a bloated corporate culture added limited value to their businesses and often whose very existence reflects pressure by woke Wall Street elites to force their progressive agenda on corporate America, he said. Tech firms Zoom, eBay and Dell have in recent days joined the sector's massive downsizing, which saw some 150,000 jobs shed last year and many more expected in 2023, according to job tracking site Layoffs FYI. Elon Musk reportedly brushed aside diversity goals when he halved Twitter's 7,500 workforce after completing his takeover deal of the social media firm in October. Among those to exit was its chief people and diversity officer, Delana Brand. And Twitter didn't break, it's still going. Another notable departure from one of Musk's companies was Bobby Beretta Paris, a 5-year Tesla veteran who had the car maker's LGBTQ+ efforts. Google's Director of Global Mental Health and Wellbeing, Kristen Maxo, I can't even say, Maxco, was also cut. Getting a complete picture of DEI layoffs is complicated. Target said its DEI division grew overall in 2022. Capital One, Wells Fargo, Applebee's and other companies spotlighted by researchers did not answer DailyMail.com's request for comments. Amazon spokesperson Brad Glasser said the firm's DEI priorities have not changed amid its 18,000 company-wide layoffs. The online retailer still has hundreds of DEI experts on its payrolls and claims to hire more blacks, Latinos and veterans in the coming months. Revelio, however you say that, a human resources analysis firm, gathered its data from public lists and job search sites. But not all DEI workers use the initialism in their titles. Many performed a traditional role but also worked in a company's so-called Employee Research Group, ERG. Textio, another personnel company, found that job adverts for DEI roles were down 19% last year, a bigger decline than for legal or other human resource roles. Only software engineering and data science job posts saw bigger drops at 24% and 27%. Textio co-founder and CEO Kieran Snyder said the remnants of DEI teams would likely be reassigned or have to juggle several roles. They were too critical to be put on a shelf when times are rough, she warned. Oh, just know to stay away from that company. Or that person. Co-founder and CEO, yeah, of that company. DailyMail.com spoke with recently sacked DEI workers, including a program manager at California-based logistics firm that shed a fifth of its staff this year, which she said had only paid lip service to diversification. The woman in her 30s who asked not to be identified bemoaned a tech sector dominated by white and Asian men, where her calls for extra spending on Black History Month and other such events falls on deaf ears. My outspokenness is part of the reason I was laid off, she said, adding that to most companies were tight-fisted on DEI spending and then only do it to appeal Gen Z and younger millennials. Well, Gen Z, half of them aren't into it. DeJaris James, an Atlanta-based DEI professional who was sacked by ride-sharing firm Lyft in November, says her team's cuts signalled how bosses aim to hit profit as many economists eyed a recession in 2023. The multi-billion-dollar DEI industry was delivering poor returns on investment, added James. I wonder why. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Listen. You can never please everybody all of the time. You can please some people some of the time, but you will never please all of the people all of the time. People have to learn that. She spoke of many $250,000 tie-ups with black colleagues and other schemes that failed to yield a more diverse and integrated workforce. You're only throwing dollars at the title and appropriation of having diverse pipelines, but you're not actually implementing processes in inclusive communities where people can come in and thrive and grow into that environment, she said. James' concerns echo studies of a corporate diversity scheme. Sociology scholars Frank Dobbin and Alexander Kalev in a 2018 Harvard University paper concluded that such workshops were among the most expensive and least effective in the business world. In the Harvard Business Review, they wrote that mandatory diversity workshops covering microaggressions or white privilege can make dominant groups feel like they're being singled out for censure and serve to activate bias or spark a backlash in the workforce. Jenna Robinson, president of the Martin Center, an academic think tank, said DEI teams stoke divisions and animosity in America's offices and become just another form of administrative bloat. It makes perfect sense when you're going into a recession that DEI teams are the first to get laid off, Robinson said. NYU School of Professional Studies Dean Angie Kamath said CEOs may appear to be renouncing DEI schemes that often take years to bear fruit, but she does not think race and equity issues are in the rearview mirror. Kamath says as students, the business leaders of the future feel differently to those in their parents' generation and want to work for a place where they believe in the mission and in the authenticity of leadership. In other words, Marxist communists have taught these children, or she says that her students believe this and feel differently. How do they know? How does she know? They've been brainwashing us, so they've been doing. But anyway, I do not think they're going to be the business leaders of the future. I think that's about to collapse. What are you going to do? When the economy is absolutely stuffed, what are these people going to do? They're going to come out of uni and have no job. Great. A 2020 study by market research firm Quantilope supports this view, finding more than 3/4 of Gen Z customers value diversity and inclusion at businesses compared to less than half of boomers. Well, maybe Gen Z just doesn't know what it's like. They have to be shown. Firms that nix DEI teams will struggle to attract talent from America's most radically and ethnically diverse generation to date, said Kamath. That's a good thing. I hope they struggle to attract that, what she calls talent. I call Marxism or communists. Those that invest in DEI and acknowledge it's hard and important work are going to ride it out and they're going to win, she said. No, I don't think so, love. I really don't think so. And then you've got this Dylan. This guy says, "Hi, y'all. I was just unexpectedly laid off from my job in digital fundraising. I have nearly 2 years of experience running a variety of large email text programs for dem packs and additional campaign experience." So he's a criminal. If anyone knows of any... No, he might not be. If anyone knows of any firms campaign hiring, send them my way, but he could be. He did email and text programs for dem packs. Insider Tech said a Google manager who got laid off liked working with his colleagues so much he's trying to set up a new company with 6 of them. Hang on, that sounds a bit like a Sam Bankman-Fried situation. He liked 6 of them so much. What were they doing that he liked them so much he couldn't let them go? Lots of laid off. Lots of people laid off. The only other video I could find was a day in the life of a TikTok. This is Dare Abazano. A day in the life of a laid off TikTok employee as they steal snacks and office supplies on their last days. Hopefully it's got no music. I should check first, but let's have a look.
Come with me to steal company assets from TikTok because I was laid off. I didn't get let in at first, but then my ID worked. We have these not a we anymore. Fun hallways, super bright.
Oh, God.
The bathroom is blasting irreplaceable. So true, honestly. Never get to thinking you're irreplaceable in the corporate world. Had to flex this view one last time because you know I love the Empire State. And this fun auditorium area. Ugh, the lights here are so fun. This green hallway, obviously my favorite. And then this is where they keep the company assets. This is super private information, so please don't share with anyone. But yeah, I worked here, so, I was taking what was rightfully mine. I did end up giving most of it away to a person on the subway, but whatever. Here's my laptop and ID. Had to return those to IT. Oh, I'm keeping the TikTok lanyard, you guys. I deserve it. I worked here for 2.5 years. It's the least they could give me. And then I headed on my way. This turnstile always makes me feel like suddenly I see this is what I want to be. So yeah, excited for the next adventure. Bye.
She's just got on the internet admitting she stole from a company. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Anyway, guys, you can let me know what you think about this down below, but I think this is a bit of a win-win, this one. I don't know how it's going to go, but if they're going to put AI in charge, God help us, but I'm not sad to see them go. See the chemtrails at the end there too? She wanted to flex the view of chemtrails. Lovely, you're being sprayed, love. And those lights, they made me feel a bit sick, actually. But anyway, this is what you get when you are a diversity, equity, and inclusion, or just an SJW working at any of these places. Seriously? You can let me know what you think down below, guys, and I will be back very soon. Have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Bye.